Well, Iran's foreign minister says anti-government demonstrations are now under, in his words, total control. Now, this comes after the regime cracked down on dissidents over the weekend. According to the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, more than 500 people have been killed and another 10,000 people have been detained by the Iranian government. Now, the protests began in late December, and they had to do with Iran's ailing economy and the cost of living. And in response, the Iranian government has cracked down on protesters and cut internet and phone lines. U.S. President Donald Trump has said the U.S. is considering a range of responses, including military options, to intervene in the country. Meantime, Iranians around the world have held protests in solidarity. Over the weekend, there were protests at the BC legislature and at the Vancouver Art Gallery. And our next two guests were at the Art Gallery on Saturday. Mahsid Rezaei is an Iranian Canadian woman in North Vancouver who moved to Canada 5 years ago. Good morning to you, Mahsid.
Good morning, Stephen, and thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you for being with us. And Medhi Ahmadzadeh is an Iranian Canadian man in Maple Ridge who moved to Canada 25 years ago. Good morning to you, Medhi.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you both for being with us. Medhi, I'll begin with you. You were one of the organizers of that rally at the Vancouver Art Gallery over the weekend. Tell me why you decided to bring it together.
Well, I think this is our responsibility to do this, to show Vancouver and everyone what's going on in Iran and bring all the Canadian, Iranian together at this stage.
And what did you hear from the people protesting there? Did they think that the demonstrations that were going ahead in Iran would achieve anything?
Yes, there is a lot of emotion going on right now. At this stage, everyone is hoping and praying for the current Iranian government, Islamic Republic, to come down and be replaced.
And how many people turned out at the art gallery to make that point?
It was about just over 5,000 people.
Wow, that's a significant number. Did that surprise you?
We were expecting about 3,500, but extra 1,500, we were really excited to have them.
All right. Now, Mahsid, you were also at the protests over the weekend. Why did you go?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was there on Saturday and I actually participated. I actually shared a few photos and short clips I took from the gathering in front of the Vancouver Art Gallery. So what you're seeing in Vancouver and in many cities around the world is incredibly powerful. Iranians have taken to the streets simply to send just one clear message to the brave people in the streets of Iran that you are not alone. And to say, if your voices are taken, we will become your voice before the war. So I was there because millions of people inside Iran cannot really speak right now. They don't have free internet, they don't have safe media, they don't have a voice simply. So those of us outside Iran do have access to free internet and safe platforms thanks to our host countries. So the least we can do right now is to carry their voices to the world. This is our responsibility. That's why so many people showed up on Saturday in Vancouver and in all over the world, I can tell. It was about unity and, letting people inside Iran know that they're not alone. And, that sense of responsibility comes directly from the people inside Iran.
Certainly, and I don't mean to belittle the efforts of people abroad, but you do have, 500 people who are dead after demonstrating in the streets and another, 10,000 people who have been detained by the Iranian government. I mean, how does demonstrating abroad or trying to make your point abroad help any of those people?
So, that's so sad. For more than 15 days now, they've been in the streets in Iran, in the cold, in the rain, in the snow. And despite all the killings and arrests and extreme violence coming from the regime, they haven't actually left the streets. Yeah. They're standing there, knowing they may not return home maybe. And that level of courage is incredibly powerful. When you see that kind of bravery, I can tell you, you feel you owe them something. Right. And the least we can do is make sure that their voices are heard. And I'm sure with this unity and with this voice, if the world can stand behind the people in Iran, all of us, we can win. this war.
Mahsid, you were here. You were not part of the protests in 2022, the Women Life Freedom protests that took place following the murder of Mahsa Amini. But did you participate from Canada in trying to help that effort then?
Yes, I was actively participating in Mahsa Amini's revolution as well. And over the past decades, there have been many uprisings and movements in Iran, large and small, here and there, all around the world. It wasn't actually Mahsa Amini's revolution was one of the biggest uprisings we participated both in Iran and outside Iran, but it wasn't the first time. Every single uprising in Iran was met with brutal suppression. The regime has always wiped away everything. People were killed, imprisoned, and silenced. But this time is different because people have nothing left to lose. This is about survival.
Medhi, are you feeling that as well, that the people there have nothing left to lose this time around?
Absolutely, because of the economical situation and what happened to the currency and everything else. Like there is no basic freedom in Iran. I tell you shortly about my story. I was 17 years old, and some kid with the AK-47 started shooting me on the street because I was listening to my favorite music. And this is the kind of a government we are facing at this moment. So there's nothing to lose for the young generation, even the old generation. They have nothing to lose at this moment.
But you still have family and friends who are in Iran, is that right?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And how does it feel to have them isolated from the outside world right now with the cutting off of internet access?
Unfortunately, this is not the first time the Islamic Republic government cut off the internet and phone lines, but this one they added another thing to it. They actually cut down the power at night too. So they're kind of creating a fear situation for everyone in there.
What have you been able to hear from inside Iran with anything, if anything, then?
I have been able to talk to some of my contacts in Iran last night, about midnight, our time. So for them would be around noon.
Yeah.
The protest is going full force, regardless of the arrest in mass murders. The protests are going full force. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources to get news from every major city. But I tell you right now, in Tehran, every day the protests got bigger since the cut off the internet and phone lines.
Really?
Yeah.
And Mahsid, what about you? What concerns do you have for your friends and family back home?
Yeah, so our biggest concern, I'm sure, right now is the safety and well-being of people inside Iran in the very first hand. So many of us, as Medhi was mentioning, haven't heard from our families for days now. We don't even know if they're safe or not. The Islamic regime has shown over the past 47 years that it responds always with violence, arrests, imprisonments, even executions have been used very easily by the regime. But what makes this moment especially dangerous is that, as Medhi was mentioning, at least for the past 4 days, the internet inside Iran has been almost completely shut down. Even the domestic phone services, everything is off. The regime is deliberately shut down the internet. This is to hide what is happening in Iran. When people are killed and the internet is cut, the world cannot see it. That's obvious.
Right.
That silence is intentional and it's dangerous. This is mass violence against civilians happening in darkness, unfortunately.
Medhi, we're almost out of time, but I just want to ask you, last night, U.S. President Donald Trump warned that the U.S. is considering what he called some very strong options to intervene in the country. What do you make of that? Would that be welcome, do you think?
At this stage, I would welcome that because we have no other choice. And people are getting killed every day by IRGC members in Iran and the police. So, yes. At this stage, yes. I'm in favor of that.
All right. Well, we will continue following the story. And thank you both so much for taking the time with us this morning. And we may check back with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate your time. Thank you. That's Rezaei, who's an Iranian Canadian woman living in North Vancouver. Medhi Ahmadzadeh, who's an Iranian Canadian man in Maple Ridge. Two of the many Iranians joining anti-government global protests in British Columbia and all over the world this past weekend. Those protests in Iran going on for the past 2 weeks now. As we said, at least 500 people have been killed. Tens of thousands have been detained.